Good, dude. Congratulations, dude, on
Thanks, man.
graduating.
Congrats to you as well.
Thanks. I might disappear for a sec. Nope, looks like it worked.
Should we pop up some show notes real quick? What the?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I finished doing my stuff literally 5 minutes ago, which is dad stuff and husband stuff.
We'll be good. It's just talking about basically our news that we've had for a couple weeks, and then just over and underperforming sides.
Yeah, I think that it'll be good. It'll be good. Taking it easy. Coming back slow.
God, I hate this laptop.
What's going on, Evan?
Hey guys, hiya.
What's up, Evan?
Phil, you gonna tweet out that show link though? Oh, you got it. All right, never mind. Oh, it's funny. It's like I had to worry about that.
Well, I've gotten better over the years, over the time.
That's fair. That's fair.
Actually, I feel like we have some minutes. I'm gonna grab some.
Yeah, I need a drink as well. Ryan, you're by yourself. Go. Great. Good job, bud.
He's doing some notes because he's awesome. So, Ryan, you could go grab an Arnold Palmer while you're waiting.
I'm not at school anymore.
Be right back.
Here. Cool. Hi, everybody. Alan, thanks for having us back. Create a channel to join the chat? What the hell? All right, what? Add this. Hey, Kev.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Kev. Still alive after today?
Alive? Yes, very much so.
There is life in this man now.
Soccer is a sport that either saps your entire soul or fills it over the brim. I don't think there's really any in between.
I was at work and unable to watch the City versus Leicester game.
I was at work and I was able to watch the City versus Leicester game.
And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, Company scored in the 70th minute. Because, like, of course it's Vince when they needed a goal. And then I saw the goal that he had, and I went, wow. That was unexpected. But, yeah, shit, how about Liverpool?
His first shot on target since...
like 2 years ago.
No, that was company's first goal
2013.
from outside the box in his career, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It was his first shot on target in the outside the box since 2013.
I love it.
My dock's open. Boom, ba-doom, boom.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
June 1st has become quite an important day for me.
Okay.
Timbers home opener, a stadium capacity now increased to 25,218.
Okay. And you will be one of those, I imagine?
Well, of course. I have my season tickets.
Naturally.
But it's footy all day, all night. No sleep in Portland.
Yeah. The Beastie Boys wrote a song about that, right?
What were you saying, Kevin? What's your capacity going up to? It's like 30 something?
No. 25,218.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going up past 30.
No, it was adding about 4,000 to 5,000 seats. I believe we were sitting in the high 20s, very, very low 21,000 prior to the expansion.
Still, that's awesome.
It might feel like they've added 10,000 people depending on
Probably
the acoustics.
will, yeah.
It just looks so big and tall. It was another reason I thought that.
Well, they pretty much built straight up, right? Like they didn't go out really.
No, they didn't go out at all. It is straight up, yeah.
Wow.
So
the top deck, the seats on the top deck are now above the current.
Oh no,
the current roof. So
I don't like that.
It's high up.
That was like at the Aviva in Ireland. Good Lord. It's gorgeous, but I've never sat up that high on that kind of an angle. And that's an experience.
The only thing, like, I love going to Seattle for away games, but where they put the teams is it's up high, like which I mean obviously it's but when it's the angle is steep enough that it's sometimes like when we get rowdy and jump up and down and the things start shaking, I'm like, I don't want to fall to my death.
Right.
Not in Seattle. Don't let the end of me be in Seattle.
You could shut down the club if that happens.
It's true. It would be the end of the Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, we don't want that though. What's David's got Goliath?
True. I mean, it'd be a shame to lose the inventors of soccer.
A little tongue in cheek there, Ryan.
No, I think he was serious.
Best brand new sport invented in 2009, right?
Sport of the future.
Oh God.
I thought you were choosing Memphis and.
Well, yeah, but that was just
Hartford.
teams that I wanted to talk about, not necessarily ones that I think are over or underachieving. Cool. All right.
If someone else wants,
I got it.
Louisville, I think that's worth the talk about, but I was gonna choose a different side.
No, that's cool.
Open Cup started
Today.
Years ago. I don't know if we want to mention that. I don't know much about it at this point, but I know.
I love that I was able to watch the Villages and Lakeland Tropics on
The
ESPN.
Village people.
I was just happy to see the logo earlier today. I was just
And I did get to shout into the abyss at Taylor Twellman about how he spelled Westchester, Pennsylvania wrong, which is my favorite pastime.
How is it spelled? Like
Shouting into the abyss, yelling at Taylor Twellman.
How do you mispronounce? How do you misspell Westchester?
Well, Westchester, Ohio, and Westchester, New York are both one word. There's just Westchester. Westchester, Pennsylvania is Westchester.
You would.
What? Listen, okay. Here's if y'all remember like Viva La Bam on MTV.
Yeah.
He's from Westchester, Pennsylvania, and in the opening credits on a like highway sign, they had it spelled as one word, and that made me uncontrollably angry as a youth.
It's MTV. People stopped watching when they stopped playing music videos.
Is there an East Chester? No, there is a Chester, which is where the Union play. And yes, Harry, they play on a or no, they're in Baltimore, right? So it's not at the it's not where I think it is. Never mind. Hartman, I think we're gonna have to talk about Louisville City.
For sure.
Yeah. Sorry, bud. Harry, I also think we're gonna bring up New Mexico United and San Antonio.
I didn't see that one, but
I did. I have a friend out there that played pretty well.
Seems to be every week.
Apparently.
Wow. I think he feel like he has one game I've seen that he hasn't scored, and that's it.
Yeah. I think it's actually about right.
I bet it's like 2 or 3 max. I would put
let me sacrifice a window to the window notes. I will say having a big rig computer hooked into the Ethernet has made the internet load significantly faster. Yeah, he has seven goals in 10 appearances, and then
3.
2 assists in 10.
That's amazing. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, they're dangerous. Oh. Yeah, Phil, that was the thing that happened too, I guess, right?
Which thing?
Your little your friendly scheduled for May 4th or whatever got bumped.
Oh, yeah, we should mention that actually. I think in this is the 3rd year that St. Louis hasn't played a match in the month of May because of flooding.
Oh, is that why it happened?
Oh, yeah, it's because of flooding.
Oh.
Literally, our field gets flooded. This year, it stopped just short of it. Like,
Okay.
every field around it was flooded, at least a little bit, and it didn't quite hit our main field, so that's good.
Is that from like rain or the river?
Yeah, there's a lot goes into it. Like, I won't say this on the show, so this is fun for the pre-show. The engineers in Missouri, the Corps of Engineers, the Army, they keep building like levees in parts where like city folk and somewhat rich folk want to build or develop land. They keep putting these levees in. Well, if you put a levee in up high, then downriver something else is going to flood, and so it's like hit this southwestern Missouri. It's been 3 years in a row. 2 years in a row, they called them both 100-year floods, as in they're only supposed to happen once every 100 years. Now it's like the 3rd year in a row that it's almost flooded. So, yeah, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Like a lot of people who have built or lived in a certain area are suddenly having every year problems, including a very good friend of mine who gave up and just left his house foreclosed and just renting now.
Sucks.
That's gross.
It's bad, but things will settle down if they stop building new levees, and I think they will stop.
Damn. Yo, I didn't know that they won best restaurant in the whole country.
Who's this?
Zahav in Philadelphia.
According to who?
James Beard.
Who?
You know how like Europe has Michelin stars?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the US was like, we want to do something like that, and so we have the James Beard Award. Interesting that an Israeli place in Philadelphia won best restaurant in the United States. Hooray, diversity.
Now they're forced to have a Lebanese restaurant or something to even things out, right?
Oh, Jesus. No. They'll just open a shawarma place or something.
Yeah, I just watched.
Comcast down in Sacramento.
Oh no!
Womp,
So
womp.
much trouble.
Bye, Pony.
Well, how can you say bye if he was never here?
That's fair.
In today's episode, Pony won't
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah. Comcast screws Pony out of an appearance. In the entirety of Sacramento is a fun one. Like that's a decent amount of space to just not.
Well, the way there's been tons of traffic accidents in Portland. Like on Sunday, we had an entire street shut down because someone took out a power pole.
Good.
It's like 5 lanes across, all shut down.
Mm.
It's like, well, maybe someone who was driving crazy in Sacramento took out Comcast. I don't know.
They just ran them through the building.
Yes. Where's that key that keystone that holds the entire network together? Let's just run over that single box.
Mm.
Take the whole thing
Yep.
out.
All right, I was gonna wait till after the show to check Open Cup scores. I gotta look now. That's a funny thing we could mention in passing is that U23 clubs, even if they're affiliated with senior sides, are good. You know,
Yeah.
Funny?
Well,
Portland has one. Or
Red Bull. It's because that
Menta has one, which is funny.
Yeah, that is really good. But I think that's because they're like physically locked to a certain age range. Whereas, like, sure, USL, like some of the USL2 teams treat their teams like U23s, but, you know, they could have like 26, 27-year-olds on that team.
I thought this
37 years old.
Sure, yeah.
I thought for the Red Bulls U23 side, it was mainly just because that they just share a branding, not necessarily that they're owned directly.
Dude. Yeah, Tormenta 2 is beating Chattanooga Red Wolves right now.
Oh, no.
The memes.
That hurts.
The memes are
they good? Or they're going to be good?
They will be if they're not.
Oh, Carson, yeah. Red Wolves, though. So bad.
Donkeys.
Tony Wall, my boy's there.
The magic of the cup keeps the meme makers busy.
Madison up 2-0 on over
Bavarian.
Yep.
Bavarian SC. I like that name and the shield. What do you call that?
Logo.
I'm officially going to be in Nashville this September.
Ooh.
Nice.
Did you sell some hot chicken?
Carson, I'm going to look at the 18th and see what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm doing something. I'm definitely not going to Louisville on the 18th.
He just had that baby, though.
I know that too, but you know what? I'm going to Swope in June.
Oh, all right, right on.
We have family there. It's a little different.
Yeah, not quite.
You know, like I can sell that to my wife.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey,
Yeah,
Evan, you should. I don't have it in front of me. We need to do the golden goal for this.
we do. Yeah.
Do you have it? Hold on.
I can find it.
There is an audio version that we haven't been able to do yet because we haven't had a show since it started. So maybe,
Sure.
Is that enough just to do that?
That's what we did for Views from the Bridge.
Okay, that'll suffice this week, but next week we'll do it.
It's just going to be easier. I don't want to have to scramble to find an ad copy right now.
Yeah, I have the thing ready to go.
Cool. All right, that's fine.
I'm good if
Nashville
you guys
still
are.
keep the coach after the failed FCC coach experience. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I think we'll cover it.
We'll
I'm
cover
good if you
that.
guys are.
Good.
I'm
question.
great.
We'll read that as your question, Harry. Remind us.
Be sure to add your stuff in for the show notes. I did stats for on my side.
Oh,
Be sure to add your stuff in for show notes. I did stats and stuff for my side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not getting my my talking points, but you can have my I don't actually have anything written up for over under. I just have stuff for the other two teams I was going to talk about. Haha, in your face.
I know. For a second, I thought you did it for all of us. I was like, nah, I doubt it.
Nope.
I thought about making the Rowdies overperforming.
I can see. Let's
Save it.
table it. Record that.
We need to hit record. You're right.
You do need to hit record.
Ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the USL show brought to you by Roughneck Scarves, roughneckscarves.com, and the Beautiful Game Network podcast, bgn.fm on the interwebs, and at the BGN FM on the Twitters. I'm your host, as usual-ish sometimes, Evan Vallely, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. I am joined by 3 of my favorite people, and like we tweeted out earlier at the USL show on Twitter, we all did really cool things recently. Like, I moved into an apartment, and the waviest man in St. Louis metropolitan area, Phil Grims, had a baby. Phil, how's it going? Did you sleep at all yet?
You know what's weird is she had a giant baby, and he's been a little bit bad so far, but he slept a lot last night. I feel pretty good. So cross my fingers it happens again tonight.
He knew that you had to record a podcast tonight.
Yeah, he's like, that USL show, and he needs
I'll be nice. Someone else graduated from college, and that's Ryan Allen, our international correspondent.
Hello?
He types with the theory of a college graduate.
Yeah, it was weird. Like when I finished off my final exam on last Thursday, I got back to camp and I was like, wow, I have nothing to do. There's like nothing left, at least until grad school in the fall. It was just kind of weird. I was like, wow, no deadlines, no responsibilities.
Yeah.
But no, it was really good to finish off the bachelor's degree, especially in 3 years.
What will your resume say? What is it? What's the actual title of your bachelor degree?
So it's a business administration with a concentration in management, but I'll more highlight that I finished it in 3 years.
Oh, dang.
And that, you're on a podcast.
Yeah, there's that too.
just throwing out.
First and foremost.
All my blog is on my resume. Anything I've written.
There you go.
That's good.
You know that there are kids that were born and are now graduating college this year. After like they're experiencing 18 years of their life, and I started college before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, there are people
who have
kidding so freaking old.
There are kids who have graduated high school after the year 2000.
Nuts.
Someone that took a step in adulthood that people really enjoy doing, among other things, and he might have a little more disposable income now. I don't know. It's Big Kevin McCanish with that promotion.
Well, yeah, that's happened. It's happened a little bit ago, but getting busy. I got 2 employees. I have a third one at a branch office that we'll probably be hiring in the next month or so. Building out the team, big projects, lots of busy stuff.
I called them paid slaves because you're going to work to death, right?
No, I'm actually super nice. So one of my employees is born in the UK, outside of Blackpool. He's a Manchester United fan. We do get along quite well, actually. And the other kid, fresh graduate, really sharp, really impressed with him so far. Good people. So
nice, dude. Congrats all around. Evan, you got to talk for a second because you moved into a new apartment, your first one ever.
I did, and this computer monitor does not have a webcam, so none of you can see it. But everything's in now. We got the couch today.
Congrats. That's a big deal.
That was the last piece, so that's good.
Good, man.
And, yeah, nothing like watching a little U.S. Open Cup in the comfort of your own apartment. Imagine. The scarves are displayed. Actually, if I ever get a webcam or whatever for this, the scarves are right behind me, so they will be visible on camera. Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been nice. It's been needed, and I should stop there. My mom does listen to this, so
got it.
We'll hang out. No, it's been really cool. I appreciate it. It's been a little hectic, a little weird, and doing podcasts and things are the last thing you kind of think about when they are just a hobby and you have real life stuff happen. which I think is a blanket statement for all of us. Phil, to go back to your tweet about the things that we did, and for everyone either in the chat right now, on our YouTube live stream, youtube.com/the USL show, or people that saw it and are curious, the person that bought 200 Crunch Bars was drunk, and his name was Pony. He's not here because apparently Comcast decided to stop working in the entire greater Sacramento area of California, which is amazing. So we can't ask him about the Crunch Bars.
I'll bet you they just saw him order a bunch of Crunch Bars. They're like, oh, we gotta cut this guy's internet off.
We gotta shut down the internet. Yeah, I believe it.
Cut it all off. Guy spending too much money on Crunch Bars.
I say not enough.
Do we think that Nestle's going to reach out to him with their new marketing campaign they're doing for Crunch Bars?
I hope so.
I think they'll reach out to us. They'll be like, hey, we heard you guys talking about us a lot.
Yeah, right. It's sponsored by Nestle Crunch Bars, the bar that you buy when you're drunk.
Is there a certain threshold of it? And it's like, okay, you're like really enjoying our product here. It's like, at least like, should we like contact you about this? This is kind of getting weird. Like, is there any other product out there?
There's a Nestle support group if you buy too many of their candy bars at one time. They give you a little coin, like a sobriety coin. You're like 2 months without a Crunch Bar.
What would you put this on this Ask Reddit thread of what's okay to have one of, but weird to have a lot of?
DUIs probably.
Yeah.
What do we talk about here? Soccer. We talk about soccer a lot. We try to talk about soccer a lot. Hey, look who made it back into our world, into our news, into our cycle. Friend of the show, I guess. Alan Coach has been fired by Jeff Birding after 11 matches into their inaugural MLS season. And oh boy, what a press conference that was from Daddy Jeff. Saying that it was not about the results, it was about the morale of the team.
And having a distinct, purpose or rhyme or reason to the way you're building the team.
Yes. Which there's a lot to unpack there. Cincinnati, by the way, 2 wins, 2 draws, 7 losses on the season, 8 goals for, 17 against, no goals in their last 5. Last goal was literally a month from today. It was on April the 7th. Johan Demet is their interim coach. They will be looking for somebody else. Who that will end up being, I don't know. I think we can come up with, and we will provide a couple of suggestions if they want to look back down into the USL side of things, but I imagine they might not want to do that given how that went the last time.
Jose Mourinho to Cincinnati.
Okay, great. Let's do it. Guys, I guess any initial thoughts? I know, Kev, you and I have probably seen Cincy a little bit more than Phil or Ryan might have, but
as I had mentioned, I think earlier today, it's a little bit shocking that they would just cut someone this early in the season. Like I've seen teams perform poorly and pull the trigger early, but never this early.
Yeah.
And you gotta like the I'm gonna call it an excuse because it's it's always about the results.
Sure.
No matter what anybody says, not just these guys. Literally, if anybody says, "Oh, we're firing him because he did something," it's like, no, it's about the results. It's always. But anyway, it's I just don't know if they're. It's an overreaction, I think.
Yep.
Because you're an expansion side. Just everybody seriously needs to come back to everybody that over there in the club, fans of the club need to come down to freaking reality.
Right.
Expansion teams do not just go in and be like, woohoo, we're going to win everything the first year. Smart teams play the long game. Sometimes it works out early if you have a boatload of money, of which it does not appear Cincinnati does. They don't have the Atlanta money or the LAFC money that has joined the league recently. And, it's even though it's a parity, it's MLS salary cap, all that junk, it's still about the money. If you're coming in mid-range, like I think Cincinnati is, play the long game, develop, plan for the future. And if you're sticking with a coach for 3 years and you think he's doing great and he's building that culture that you want, that style that you want, and you think it's going to work in MLS, then you hire him and you stick to him. Right. You don't just be like, oh, we hired him and then he's not doing what we want him to do because culture-wise, everything else-wise, that literally he's been doing for 3 years. So, yep, that's the reason why we decided to part ways.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. Really, my problem is I don't know how changing the coach right now impacts anything for this team.
I don't think it does.
Like, your transfer window closed today.
Yep.
I don't think you're solving your problems with a different formation. I don't think you're solving your problems with a different idea. I think what happened was Adi got a DUI, and that kind of screwed everything up. And then I think one of your longest tenured guy, Jimmy McLaughlin, tore his ACL. Probably is going to have to retire now.
Which is unfortunate.
But I mean, that's another guy like that. Him being depressed and not being able to play, which I'm sure bums him out, can probably rub off on some of those other guys. So I don't know if just blaming this all on Alan Coach and then, shuttling him off and then trying to find another guy quickly is going to be the right answer. Because, I mean, who do you have to replace him? Anthony Hudson's around. But I don't think you want to do that. So, I mean, Ryan, Phil, is there anybody in USL that you're like, they should probably get a look at?
I don't know. It's just my big thing is when you make decisions like this, you should have someone in mind to at least try and take over and not to discredit the interim guy who they hired, who is 29 years old. It seemed that was more of a placeholder decision.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just more so to the point that you don't see expansion sides get rid of their head coach so soon. The earliest in the past couple of years, the earliest an expansion side has ever dumped a head coach was Jason Kreis after the first season with NYCFC. Then after that, it was Adrian Heath after a year and a half with Orlando. Who I think the earliest MLS that has ever dumped a head coach was New York Red Bulls a few years ago or earlier. They dumped a guy after 8 games. It's just I don't think they can get anyone from USL. I mean, when O'Connor went up to Orlando, he went up at the end of May, basically he went up in June, and it just still seems like it's way too early in the season that no USL coach is going to want to jump ship for MLS, potentially one as much of a, I don't want to say garbage fire, but one as a fractious of a situation as this. When it comes to situations like this, the easiest thing if people are disgruntled with results is sacking the manager, but that may not solve all your problems.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there. This is akin to James O'Connor joining, a dumpster fire that was
Orlando City.
Yeah. Thank you, Orlando City. So it's a real random roster, especially the last several editions are just like who's talented that we can just grab, like anyone. Not that they're bad players, but that rhyme or reason we were talking about earlier, the roster's full of them, and you have to wonder, is it Luke Sassano is their GM, sporting director?
Yep.
You have to wonder if he had a role in that or not. Maybe not. I don't know, but gosh, it is a mess of a situation. And if people are looking at James O'Connor, one of the best USL coaches out there, top 5, top 10 at the very least. He's having trouble down in Orlando City. So
they are 7th in the Eastern Conference of MLS, and that is a playoff spot this year. 3 wins, 3 draws, and 4 losses.
That helps.
Phil, I think you and I have a couple people that we would, in a perfect world, see maybe move up and take this spot. Although, that being said, I think the people that we're thinking of, we like as people and don't want them to have to do this stuff at the next level necessarily. So, that being said, I think... Okay, so I was going to say I think Brendan Burke could be really good at this role. My problem is since he doesn't have an academy yet, I think they
are getting to
next year. Yeah. And for him, what he's very good at is developing younger players. And I look around at that Cincy team, and Frankie Amaya is a really interesting piece. But other than that, I don't see a lot of that there.
None.
But I mean, you know, Brendan's a guy that he's been in MLS before. He's with an MLS 2 side. He's around MLS every day. You know, I mean, if he's going to go, I think that's a guy that you can feasibly attract to that area. And then the other people that popped into my head as far as guys that you're probably not going to be able to get, you know, Jason Kreis is off the table, I think, is the U23. I think Tab Ramos is never leaving the US U20s. You know, there's a lot of good coaches that just aren't, you know, disappointing with, or that aren't unhappy where they are, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And so mine is Pulis, who has gotten an offer. Caleb Porter wanted him as an assistant before this year started, and I had a bit of a heart attack. That didn't happen, thank goodness, though that would be a really good move for Pulis.
Sure.
Kind of like Bethlehem's coach, I'd really like to see him do what Pulis has done, which is go from a 2 side to an indie side and prove his worth. Obviously, with him as well as many others, like James O'Connor, it took a second year to kind of get moving. So that's another sad fact that perhaps Koch didn't get a fair shake. But Pulis, I think, is obvious, especially as well as they're doing in their second year here. Some other shouts, Braden Cloutier at Orange County. If they make a recovery this year,
okay, bye, Phil.
Did we lose him?
We might have done, yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. I think Phil's not, though. Right on.
I think Phil froze in time.
Right
I
on.
really like his style of football.
Oh, he's back. All right.
Sorry. Okay.
No, well, he was there for a second.
Wait for it.
I think Comcast decided to take out St. Louis.
Oh, they're coming. They're going. They're sweeping across the
They're
nation.
targeting all of our cities.
Wait, Kev, wouldn't you have been next though?
Well, no. How do we? It's a feint. Comcast doing their thing.
They're starting on the letter S. Oh, well, speaking of people that live in places with S,
that was Cloutier at OC.
What's happening? This is fascinating.
What?
Is it because Pony came on? Maybe he froze Pony.
Did I send Phil? Alan, come on. I did not send Phil my internet. Thank you very much.
We'll see if this holds.
What's up, Evan?
I'll see if it actually holds.
Hi,
on
other Evan.
Yeah, we'll see if this is one of those things where Comcast teases me by giving it back connection for 10 minutes and then ripping it away again or not.
Anyway, other news. Can we let League One Fun cover the League One expansion team? I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. And then, oh, by the way, when you miss 3 weeks, I tweeted it out that we're going to kind of do a 30,000 foot view, if you'd like, of the last month-ish, or just kind of the first quarter of the season for USL, because I think there's interesting things that have happened. That being said,
what the hell?
I don't know. Does anyone have? I mean, who wants to start with the overachieving, underachieving USL side things?
I'll go up with the first overachieving side. And my pick for that is New Mexico United. So going into the season, I still had the bold prediction that New Mexico United would be the best expansion side. And we were all picking them around 4th or 5th in the West at max. But here we are 10 matches played, and they are atop the Western Conference. 22 goals scored, 14 allowed, 4 wins, 5 draws, and a loss. And they've scored in every match except for one, which was a 0-0 result against RGV. Cincy Moorhead and Kevin Frater have 7 goals. Chris Wheaton and Devin Sandoval both have 3. This team has just been unstoppable for a good chunk of the season. They've pulled in crowds of 15,000. It seems like they've really energized the region, and I would say that they've shocked a lot of USL just based off of the market they've been able to grab, the goals they've been able to produce from Moore and Frater, and just how well they've been playing. Mizell is kind of replicating what he did in Charlotte just now in New Mexico. It's just overall one of the more surprising teams from the season.
Yeah, and they smacked San Antonio on Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of people have been though, but not that bad. Not that bad.
They're not. Yeah, they just play a really nice brand of soccer right now.
Yeah, I think the win against San Antonio was needed because they actually played defense for once. Because going into this week, they had more 3-goal allowed games than shutouts.
Yeah, with you there. That was worrying me, and I just didn't think Santi Moar could keep this going, and here he is doing it. So
there you go. Yeah, and it's funny because I was watching Bethlehem play Loudoun United, and I tweeted it out, kind of passive aggressively as like a reply to somebody that was mentioning something, but like part of what like makes Moore so effective, and I think some of the problem that like Loudoun or Atlanta United 2 or this year's iteration of Bethlehem are having is they don't have those guys in their like mid-20s or whatever that can come on and just kind of close games out. Or I guess in New Mexico's case, you know, they have Sandoval and Moar and you know, a lot of really nice pieces that have experience that can come in and kill off a game. Or, you know, New Mexico is just putting everybody out of reach by like the 60th minute. But it is really nice to see him. I don't even want to say like excel is an understatement, but like just really dominate the league with New Mexico United.
crazy.
Combined, Moar and Frater have 14 goals, and that's more than 21 other clubs have altogether this season in USL. And separately, Moar and Frater have more goals than like Tacoma and Hartford have scored all season.
Mm-hmm.
Ouchie. Yeah, it's funny. I just to think about team building, and I'm like, how did they do this? You know, what did they pick up? Who did they get? What is their mix? What is their tactics? What did they do right? You know, in team building, and there's so many variables. I don't even think I can put it together. But
and is it Lassen being able to get the most out of those guys too?
Yeah, but is it him? Is it? I guess the system is him.
Well, I mean, the actual answer, even though it's a cop out, is that it's a perfect storm of everything.
Yeah, I know. I guess it's a cop out, but
yeah,
that'll be the fun in the future years is to see if that is, you know, perfect storm and it never happens again.
Sure. Phil, who you got for overachievers?
Oh yeah, mine is very unscientific. Just to warn you ahead of time.
No, go for it.
I picked NCFC as a bit of they're going to fall down the table a little bit. Okay. It's a long shot. This one is a long shot because they defend pretty solidly, but they seem to just rely on the counterattack. And I'm just curious if that's going to work all season. Yeah. It might, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot of games where they just aren't able to quite finish on so few chances, you know? So I just think they might fall a little bit, even though they really do have their stuff together. I still feel like they're going to make the playoffs, no problem. But I don't know if they'll be as dominant as they are. They've been very good. But Saracen, I had doubts about Saracen, and I've proved wrong for sure.
I mean, they did have that 0-0 result against Indy 11, and I know Pony going into that match said that was going to be a big key to deciding where they would be for the rest of the season, as their next 3 of their next 4 are on the road of at Ottawa, host Birmingham, at Baby Bulls, and then at Hartford.
Yeah, so the only loss they have is Baby Bulls, or actually no, there's more.
Atlanta United too.
Yeah, which is weird, but you know they drew the Rowdies as well. So as Indy 11. Oh no! I'm looking at the wrong thing. It doesn't matter. They're doing great.
Yeah, I think I want to see them get a good win. Their best wins against Louisville, and Louisville's been pretty hit and miss this season.
Yeah, that's a good point.
NCFC has scored in every single match this year up until that Indy 11 0-0 draw.
Yeah, so we'll see. I guess their competition hasn't been as hard either, so that is in my favor. My riser is Charlotte Independence. I didn't have to think too hard to pick them.
That's fun.
Lots of flaws in that team.
Yeah,
I just feel like they're going to iron it out, and it may not even be a this year thing. But I feel like I feel a nice rise at the final third of the season. I think Ottawa did something like that last year, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to do that and then be good next year. There's just a lot of really good individual talent, and if those guys live up to their breed, I guess, I don't know, that they're going to be a very good team unless someone does a terrible job coaching them.
There's a lot of nice individual humans on that team that we quite like as well.
That too.
So we're not 100% unbiased in wanting to see some folks that we know and that I talk to quasi frequently do well.
And the fans of that team are also some of them.
Yeah, I like a couple of the guys in Charlotte. No, I'll tell you what. It's funny. They're actually my underachievers. But I think kind of for the same reasons. Like, I think the worst thing that they can do is get rid of Jim McGinnis. Only because I think when you go to hire him in the first place, you have the understanding that that's not a 3-month project or a half-a-year project or whatever. Like, that's going to take over a year to kind of come to fruition. And for him to get a feel for what style he wants to play at the pro level, and then just how U.S. soccer differs from the Celtic youth system, because I'm sure there's a couple of differences there, or even in China where he was previous. But yeah, they're the team. The one that I think is actually underachieving right now, and then I have another team that's just bad that I think I want to talk about. I think Memphis have been a little unlucky.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have a thought on that. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Birch Collier and Adam Niem, like, good players. They produce decently well. I like Collier or one of their other forwards just needs to step up for me. They've been really not clinical in front of net, and I think that's hurt them a good bit. Like, what was it? The draw they had against North Carolina, I think it was, could have easily been a win. And I think they actually scared Louisville more than that scoreline's going to let on. They had like a decent run from like the middle of March into April, where I think they picked up like 4 points in 4 matches, which, again, not setting the world on fire, but for an expansion team, I'm only going to, rate them so high. But I like their attacking pieces they have. I don't think they're that bad defensively. Here's when Pony comes in and tells me that I'm really wrong. But I have a little bit of faith that they're going to click, and maybe not, like, firmly be in the playoffs, but I definitely think there's a chance that they sneak in, especially with some of these teams that normally perform really well not performing really well.
Yeah, so my thought is they just got Jochen Graf, and
they did, which is a forward who really likes to score goals.
Exactly, and I think that was their weakest point. Is Muckett is super athletic.
Yep.
I think in the new USL, he's not quite good enough to score a lot of goals. I think he's going to be useful to help Jochen Graf score, and I think we saw that in the last game. I'm trying to pull up. I forgot who they played. They played, come on, baby, Birmingham.
Yeah.
Which also not a good team. They have flashes of looking very good.
Yep.
But Memphis with the new players looked so much better. Like their attack has improved. I agree with you, Evan, that I think their defense is fine, if not decent. And they just have had trouble scoring. I think Hartford could maybe take some notes from the improvement Memphis just had. Pony, any thoughts on their defense if you've seen them?
I mean, I agree with everyone saying. I said Memphis is the outright unluckiest team in the USL so far this season. They should have got points from. They should have probably got all points from Birmingham. They should have got a draw against Louisville. They probably even should have beat Charleston a few weeks ago. They just have these weird things where they either hit the post or get a bad call, and they're not a good team. They're never going to win the cup this season, even if their luck was neutral. But they are not a team that should only have one win this late in the season. If you had to guess the team that's going to improve most in points gained per game, I'm probably taking Memphis right now.
So is that your underachiever, Memphis?
No, that's actually not going to be mine.
Well, why don't you move into yours?
Underachiever, it's going to be a team that I don't think anyone sees coming because I'm very frustrated with them and have been for 2 years.
Sacramento Republic.
Well, they could have been, but I live there and I don't want to have problems. So my underachiever is going to go out east, and I'm taking Nashville, who is just.
That's right.
I don't understand Nashville. Earlier in the season, I started trying to pull up a stat to say, hey, look, when they allow a goal, they can't win. I wonder how long that goes back. That streak is almost a year old at this point. They have won
states in 2 different time zones. It's just really weird.
They have won 1 game out of 24 USL games they've played when they allowed a goal. You can't be a good team and do that. I mean, they're going to MLS next year. They have all those advantages they have that Cincinnati had. They have the ability to attract players. They have Tam Gam. They have everything, and you can't win a game when allowing a goal. Nashville will never be a top team until they do that. And while they are going to be mid-table, they're going to make playoffs. I think a lot of us had them as the favorite to win the cup coming into the season. And the way they're playing, they are not the favorite to win the cup. They'll be lucky if they make the East semifinals at this point almost. I mean, it's weird to say, but they're just not as strong as we all thought they were going to be. And that's why they're my underachiever. You could be an underachiever and be a mid-table team if everyone thought you were going to be great.
Nashville is currently 6th in the East with their 2 losses this year being a 1-0 defeat at home to St. Louis and a 3-1 loss on the road at Charleston.
Both good teams.
I think their next match is going to be really crucial because it's a home fixture against Tampa Bay Rowdies, and that's going to really set the tone of where they're going to be set. I know we're going to touch on it when we were talking about Alan Koch, but did they make a mistake kind of anointing their current head coach as the guy going into MLS?
I don't think so. And I'm going to say this because each situation is different. I like to think about what would happen if Pulis were to stay here now that St. Louis is, maybe odds-on favorite to go to MLS in the next several years.
Sure.
Do we keep Pulis? Is he better off being an assistant for a little while? And the thing about Pulis is Koch's seemingly biggest weakness is, having a certain style and really sticking to it and building a team that way. Well, that's a really strong thing for Pulis. But is he able to move to the next level, a la who we did not mention earlier, Bob Lilly, right? Does anyone, Bob Lilly is one of the most successful USL coaches right now. But
you don't want anyone that plays that style.
I know that's worrisome, but I think all those things come into the thought process. Would FC Cincinnati take Bob Lilly if it would mean they win, even though it's boring? For a couple of years, they might.
They wouldn't, because there's so many teams in the East that press so hard that Lilly wouldn't know what to do.
Give him the ball.
Yeah, and then you're losing 4-0 every week. And you turn him into Anthony Hudson or something. But
I wanted to shout him for an MLS position, but I'm not sure he can handle that. And there are a lot of coaches that can't. And Nashville coach, St. Louis's coach, both may be those people.
Right. What if these teams that go up to MLS? I mean, this might be out of left field as an idea, but what if they take their USL coaches and say, hey, you've done amazing work for us at this level, and would you accept in this the main assistant coach position if we can find a head coach that is going to take us to the next level, but we want you to be here to help build these players into the culture we're trying to develop, that you help develop, that type of thing. I mean, is that even something anyone even considers? Would that offend the current USL head coach? I don't know, but that's something to try to go a different direction, but still keep trying to continue to build what you've got going on right now. If any of that makes any sense.
I don't know. You just gotta have to play it from who the coach is, or their reputation and their ego. If they would be okay accepting an assistant coaching job at MLS, that means they can stay with the club. Maybe you offer them, and it's like, hey, you'll be the maybe if you even said the MLS2 coach, they may even turn that down.
But then you see Luchi Gonzalez do what he's doing, But that's academy. It may be different.
Yeah. The one in I like Kev's idea because I like that you have a guy that's still bridging that gap for those guys that were in USL and now are in MLS. They can kind of go, you could go up to Gary Smith or whatever and say, hey, I'm freaking out. What's going on? Or just, a familiar face in the locker room or whatever, so that you're not completely out of your depth or something like that. I'm not super negative about the Nashville Gary Smith bringing him up just because he was an MLS 1.0 coach. And I know that league's changed drastically as far as what they do and what teams he's going to have to look at and everything like that. But I think he could have done worse.
Every situation is unique. And I think so, FC Cincinnati's situation is unique. Nashville's situation is unique. St. Louis or Sacramento, if they go up, it's going to be a unique situation. But
before them, Atlanta was unique. Portland was unique.
All of it, yeah. But it's just one of those things like I haven't, and who knows, maybe people have talked in the back offices and ideas like this have come up, but it's one of those things where I haven't seen yet.
Right.
And maybe someday we'll see something that kind of works out like that. Who knows?
Yeah. Guys, let's hit the team. Or Kev, I'm sorry. Let's talk about your underachiever.
Well, I am more familiar with the Western Conference than the Eastern Conference, so I'm going to do a little bit of a cop-out here. But with the way that the conference stands, you can really pick out pretty much anybody from 12th to 16th or 17th and say they're an underachiever. I'll go. I could literally go with anybody. Pony already picked Sacramento, Real Monarchs, Phoenix, San Antonio, Colorado. It's kind of hard to pick, but let's go with Phoenix because they're kind of the ones we expected to be at the top of the Western Conference. And still 9 games in, they are struggling down in 15th. The points, they would be one game, one win to jump immediately up to 5th. That's how close the table is. But it's weird seeing Phoenix down in 15th place still. I'm sure that they're going to turn it around, but so far, underachiever in the West for me.
I'd like to point out I did not actually pick Sacramento. I said I could have.
Yeah, I shouted Sacramento at him.
No, I have.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't.
Because if I had to pick someone out in the West, it might be them.
I think it's one thing Phoenix has going for them is their goal differential is at +4, which is what the equivalent of T2 and Tulsa have. So they're scoring. They're just not getting the desired results. They have 5 draws.
Yeah, and to me, that's something you can build on, not fall on. Although it could hurt them. I don't know. It could go either way, but
it depends on how the conference is close. The draws could kill you in the end, but they could help. But you're right. The idea is that you are still getting points. Not getting all the points, but you're still getting points. You're still going in the right direction.
Yeah, I'd say in the West at the moment, they're really New Mexico's the only side that break away from the top, and Tacoma's the only side to set themselves up from the bottom. But any other team between 2nd and 17th is pretty much still in the game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Kev, I want to hear you talk about T2 because I wanted to pick them as possible fallers. I think you did, right?
Like that they're going to come down?
Yeah.
Because I pick them for my overachievers. So yeah, I definitely think that they're going to come down. They've got a game in hand on the top 2 teams in the West right now. So if they win the next one, which is, I believe, the 12th against Tacoma, so very likely given the current status of the 2 teams, that would jump them to first. But I definitely did not see them leading the West for a good portion of this early season or staying in the top 2, top 3 like they have been almost the whole season. There haven't been any big changes with them. It's all kind of the same people, same coach, same system, same players mostly that got T2 to their first playoff berth last season, which was a big step, big improvement for them. So it even though I knew that they were going to be building on that, I just didn't think it would get them further. I think I had them mid-table, maybe pulling in like 7th to 10th place, if I remember correctly. Potentially getting into the playoffs again. But now you look at other MLS2 sides that start off the season strong. The big obvious one being Real Monarchs, who in the past seasons have started off well and then fallen off completely. Could that happen with T2? Any number of things can cause that, particularly if Portland the first team would continue to do bad and start pulling players from this 2 side that was doing quite well. That's changed, so that might not happen as much. Or if you play more, if the first team plays more games, gets in the U.S. Open Cup, or injuries happen, the two side can see all kinds of things that will disrupt their chemistry that they're building, and they can see them slip.
I would like to point out with Real Monarchs, they are currently 14th in the table, but they have 17 goals allowed and conceded.
Which seems like that's more goals conceded than I would expect, given that they got that really awesome keeper.
He hasn't played every game.
So whoever his backup is then sucks. Probably. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, they just are hit and miss. I'm looking at Real Monarchs, and the worst 3 games, they allowed 12 of those 17 goals.
Yeah.
Like we've been saying, they have 11 points, and a win would jump them all the way up to 4th. So the West is still incredibly tight.
That's fun. Real quick on a serious note, positive vibes to Mr. Suleiman Asante, Phoenix Rising captain. Lost his dad earlier in the week. So that sucks. But take your time coming back, because that's not a fun one, for sure. So, but yeah, the West, like you guys said, is just absolutely wide open, and I'm not worried about Phoenix in the slightest, just because of the amount of depth that they have on that team, for sure.
Did anyone miss their second? I feel like we moved on one or two people.
I have a second, and it's not that I think they're going to come up. It's just that I think they're fantastically bad, and I really want to talk about them. Guys, Hartford Athletic are not a good soccer team.
Got a draw.
They did. They got a draw against another not good soccer team in Charlotte, and they will in fact play another meh team in Memphis on the 10th. So there's that. We'll see how that goes.
The Antigua mark as far as record, but I can't promise they avoid that in ELA. Both Hartford and Tacoma have dropped substantially. I think they're down in the 1030s now for ELA ratings and USL.
So their losses: Atlanta United to Charleston, Louisville, Indy, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Red Bull, and North Carolina. Drew Charlotte. So it's not like they've had a ridiculously hard opening schedule. I think their problem is that they only average about 43% of the ball, which is not great. And they've only hit at the most 6 shots on target. They have a couple games with 5, but they're really not getting good looks on net. And their passing success isn't great. It's 71%. Their long balls don't hit very well. They're only at 42% for those. They pass 83% in their own half, which makes me think that they want to build up through the back, or just that no one's pressing them. I don't know which one is which. But they only pass 60% when they get up into the upper half of the field for them. Not too great on crosses. They've hit 102 in the open play and only hit 23 successfully. I don't know if they should start trying to pass the bloody ball into the net or what. But it's weird. Like, Siem DeWitt seems to be the guy for this team. Like, both defensively and as far as distribution and attack and things like that, or at least starting things. And, like, y'all, that's a center back. And they don't play like Guardiola or Klopp, or I guess to make it more, home, they don't play like Red Bull, or they don't play like Phil Union, where it's you build up through the back and you're passing and you're constantly moving and you're looking for space and things like that. Like, they just don't look good. And their defense looks sluggish.
That's the problem. Because everything you said is spot on, but that's like Jimmy Nielsen teams right there. OKC was just like that when he was there, except they defended like the Dickens. I mean, they were so good at defending, so they were fine.
Is that a conference jump thing? Is it just that teams in the East are a little bit more
I think it's pressing? Like a mix of that, and the new USL is just better, and it doesn't just work every time anymore. Bob Lilly's struggling, man. Like a lot of people are not adjusting well enough, or players they thought were good 2 years ago all of a sudden aren't good enough anymore. And it's a surprise to some of these guys.
Right.
So to me, that's been a big shift this year. There are a lot of players that have always been pretty solid or pretty good, and coaches have left and come back and trust these guys, and they're just not good enough anymore. I think it's gotten much better.
I think that happens when you expand the league and you get all this expanded coverage.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have these players or teams exist in their own kind of bubble. When Lily was in Rochester and not every game was on, you would just like hear results of Rochester, like, oh yeah, they're so good and stuff. But now that since every game is on, you can watch every game, you can study film, you can break down all of this stuff. And then if you throw in the fact that we've had 7 expansion teams this year, on any given day, that's 77 new players potentially playing on the pitch. And it opens up a lot more opportunities for these players that are currently in the league to get bossed around or beaten at their own game.
And if you look at your player pool, teams are trending younger and teams are trending more
globally.
So and more Spaniards and more Jamaicans and more guys from Trinidad and things like that, guys who have more technical prowess and the ability to just burn people.
The level's raised so that they can go get German 3rd division guys now and they won't hate it here.
I mean, I think what's big is now that you're seeing teams who expanded into markets that hadn't had a soccer team or a pro soccer team prior to it, especially like Birmingham and New Mexico, who didn't have massive professional sides around it. You could argue that Nashville should have been capitalizing off of Memphis's land prior to this, but the fact that they have these new expanded territories has led to a benefit for those places and expanded player pool to pull from.
Ryan, your points are spot on. You did a really good job there. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't gone yet with Yuri too, right?
No, my 2 side that I wanted to at least not really harp on, but just kind of say that they've been underachieving is a MLS 2 side of Swope Park Rangers. Now, I'm not sure if the conference change has done anything to really hurt them. It certainly has played a factor. They don't adjust as well as St. Louis, who has the ability to switch conferences at will. But they were a playoff side last year and made it to the Western Conference semifinals before losing to Phoenix 4-2 in that final. They had 15 wins, 52 goals scored. Through their first 7 games last season, they had 13 goals scored and 11 goals allowed. Through this year, they've allowed 17 goals and having scored 11. I'm certain it's basically just a lot of players have kind of left the side. I mean, Felipe Hernandez is their leading goal scorer with 2 goals at the moment, but it doesn't seem like this is the Swope Park Rangers team we've known of seasons past, of a somewhat reliable playoff side or a team who has made 2 USL Cup finals.
Right. I just think it's the conference change for them.
It could be in part, but I mean, even out west, Swope was never a great team regular season. The best they ever finished was 4th. This is a bad start, but they were never the number 1 team. They were never the team to beat out west. They just turned it on come postseason every year.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting if they're able to turn it on, but first they have to at least get the chance to turn it on. If they don't have a good enough regular season at this point and can't make the playoffs, we'll never know how it'll turn out. It may be one of those that they'll have to wait another season of getting used to the Eastern Conference, because this is completely opposite travel. They would have the benefit of at least time zones that they would be able to go back, and they're at least going forward, having to play on the Eastern Seaboard.
So Ryan, what's your other one that you picked?
Oh, that was my 2. I had New Mexico as my overachiever and Swope as my underachiever.
I think Swope's staying right where they are, personally.
Kev, I don't blame you, because if anyone else's teams on this podcast were in this position, we would be doing the same thing. So I'll just ask you, why are Timbers 2 actually really good this year?
Consistency.
Fair.
They're built like I mentioned earlier. They're building off of what they did right last season, and I think last season is the first season where they actually did this 2-side correct. Cameron Nollis instilled in them what they needed to have. Developed them well, got them to their first playoff berth. And they're building upon that. Nothing's really changed as far as the player personnel. They brought in Roy Miller, signed directly to T2. First team didn't renew his contract, brought him in. all that worked out, I think. But again, are they going to be able to keep that going for the whole season? The next couple of games, I think that up with Tacoma and then hosting El Paso after that, they'll probably do fine. I think what's going to be key to see how they do is the game after that, where I think they host RSL or Real Monarchs, if I remember right. I don't have the schedule up in front of me, but they have one at the end of May that I think is going to be their next tough game to see how they do. And
they have Tacoma, El Paso, Salt Lake.
Okay, cool. It is Salt Lake. Yeah, that's going to be the one I think that's going to kind of like, is this going to, because they've got 2 draws and a loss. They seem to be sliding down a little bit. So can they right the ship, get the wins that maybe you might expect them to get, and then let's see what happens against the Monarchs, if they can continue continue where they're going, or if they're going to continue to slide.
I know this side is someone Pony really wants to talk about, but I feel like in previous shows and just covers the entire season that a lot of people have been sleeping on Fresno.
Oh yeah, I thought they might be a riser, but they had a game that worried me.
Yeah, Fresno I don't know how they're getting so little respect right now. Maybe because they've played less games than everyone else, but points gained per game, they're the number 1 team out west, and I think you could argue that they're one of the best teams in the league right now. Yep. It's not like they're an undefeated team who hasn't played anyone good, and that's why they're top of the table. I mean, they've played on the road in New Mexico, on the road in RGV, on the road in Phoenix and Salt Lake, 2 wins, 2 draws in that, and at home against Reno, Tulsa, and Orange County, which 1 win, 2 draws again. That is a dangerously good team that I think everyone is completely overlooking. Now, I don't think they're going to win the West. I don't think they're going to keep this up for that long. That defense, which is one of the best out West, I just can't see it withstand the test of time. But their offense looks really good. I mean, they have Kava, so that's always bonus points in my book for someone who could score a free kick from basically anywhere in the entire pitch, if at will. And overall, watching them, they look very solid. They are playing well as a team, and the defense is surprisingly strong. I mean, I guess I have them as my most likely to regress because of how good they actually are right now. But Fresno might be the team I have moved up the most in my rankings from preseason to where they are now. I could easily see them finishing 3rd or 4th in the West and being an extremely difficult out.
I don't know if you saw it. Did you watch that game against OC where they ended up drawing, even though they led most of the game? That's the one that worries me now. That's like old school Fresno, who looks like they should win a game and don't.
Who left unbeaten longer, Tampa or Fresno? So they're the 2 final unbeatens left in the league.
They were down against Orange County 2-0.
Oh shoot, you're right. They looked bad in the beginning.
So they got hit with that Pittsburgh.
The first 15 minutes looked like a complete wreck. Then they decided to stop playing bad and basically dominated the last 70.
Thanks for correcting me on that. But
I was thinking, like, oh shoot, am I thinking of the wrong game right
now? Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, Fresno is sneaky good this year, and I think you could even make an argument they're top 3 in the league at this point.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'd argue that Tampa left unbeaten longer than Fresno.
Okay.
Well, I guess if you go total games played, probably, but timeline, maybe not.
Who haven't we heard from?
I think that's all of us now.
Yeah, cool. Special shout out to dear friend Brian Cook, who gave us a very quick summary of Indy 11. He said they can play defense very well. They can play offense very well. They cannot do both of those in the same game, which is their problem. And then shout outs to our dear friends over at Mongols, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who have turned a 0-0 into a 2-2 as the new result of the year. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is finally, I've been saying it for like 2 years, but I think this is finally the year that time has caught up with one Bob Lilly.
I think so too.
We'll see.
With you. Hey everyone, watch the U.S. Open Cup. It's on ESPN Plus, and it's so good.
Do it. Chattanooga lost. Ford Madison's gonna win. Also, if you guys want to go harass one of your soccer players to go join up Austin Deleuze's Playing for Pride initiative, go do that. Tell him to get in touch.
Yep.
He started it already. Connor Tobin, I think, joined. Chris Wondolowski just joined. Austin's obviously playing. I don't know who else because they didn't tell me yet. Damn it, Austin. But that's just a really, really cool thing to see who kind of comes out of the woodwork in a very organic thing, because Austin literally just goes around and asks people if they want to do that. And they end up with 300 people. Like, I think someone in the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, is going to do it, which is crazy. So definitely go check that out.
Also, Open Cup wise, if you're actually listening live, the FC Motown and New York Red Bulls under 23 are going to a penalty shootout right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip it on.
Tropics and Villages went to goalkeeper versus goalkeeper.
They did.
Which is
It actually wasn't goalkeeper. One of their keepers shot fifth.
Oh,
that's amazing.
And missed. But
Even better.
Magic of the Cup.
The Villages will in fact play the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the next round, by the way, for those curious.
Oh, good for the Village people.
I always think of the horror film, The Village.
Oh,
M. Night Shyamalan film.
that was scary.
Oh, I guess it's not a horror film. Thriller.
It was more funny.
Yeah.
Its twist was kind of foretold through the kind of first half of the film.
Are we still supposed to be watching a horror movie as a group here at some point?
Maybe, I don't know.
I thought our group thing was Dungeons and Dragons USL theme.
We gotta schedule dates and things for things and things, boys. Life. Also, real quick, no spoilers, but I love it in Endgame when Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Thanks, pal. Yeah, that wasn't a spoiler.
Yeah, no, because Bruce Willis was dead the whole movie, and Haley Joel Osment was like, "Oh, I can see dead people," and then they figured out that.
I'm not seeing Endgame for a couple more days, so I'll murder somebody if they.
Yeah, so what really happens is Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey get together and combine their mustaches and shoot off into the sun, and that explodes and kills Thanos.
The best. Obviously, that's the first choice of what you should do at the end of the world.
Yeah.
Well, this is off the rails.
It is.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to the USL show. Brought to you by our lovely friends over at the Beautiful Game Network. Hi, Mike. At the BGN FM or at BGN.FM on the internet. If you want to follow us all, you can certainly do that. I'm at Speak Evan Speak. Kev is at KMcCamish PDX. Ryan is at ILM_Ryan. Pony had a handle change. Is it the USL Pony now?
Just USL_Pony.
Oh, God, you're too simple. All right, fine.
Yep.
And Phil Grooms is either at STL Soccer Report or at Phil Grooms, 2 L's, 2 O's. If you want to follow this whole show, you can do that at the USL Show on Twitter. Go to the USLShow.com to download our episodes in MP3 format before it hits your favorite podcasting sites. But if you wait like an hour or so, then you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, which is still really cool to me, Google Podcasts, wherever you can get your podcast. And if it's not there, let us know and we'll get it there. Yeah, definitely check out everyone else on the network. If we didn't talk about a team or whatever and you want us to do that, I guarantee you there's a podcast that does it. So go check out all our friends over on BGN.FM. For the rest of the boys, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Sorry for the delay of things, but we'll be back more consistently now that we're all settled in on things. So appreciate you staying with us. Until next time, there's only one rule in the USL Show handbook that we have. I do laminate it and send it out to everybody. It's very poor use of time and money, but I do it. And that rule is don't be a dick. Take care, everybody.